Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. Today's video is a rankings video. I am going to be ranking all of the palettes I have tried basically since July, because July was the last time I did one of these rankings videos. I have 20 palettes in front of me. It could have been even more because there were a couple of Halloween palettes I didn't get a chance to try, and I am of course only ranking palettes that I actually tried as I usually do. So I have 20 palettes in front of me. And by the way, I want to do a holiday palettes ranking video, but I still have some more holiday palettes that I will be trying in the next couple of weeks. However, there are a few holiday palettes already in this ranking, so you will see these palettes also ranked amongst other holiday palettes at some point in December, I think. And it's because I really think it'll be fun to round up all of the holiday palettes and put them together in a rankings video. Before I begin this rankings video, I have something that I quickly want to share with you guys, and that is the fact that Refer Brushes is having their Black Friday sale or their holiday sale, because truly it just started a couple of days ago and it'll continue to go on throughout the holiday season until they run out of inventory. And I have a special discount code to share with you that will get you a 15% off extra on top of their already happening holiday deal, which is incredible. I of course have the link to the Refer website down below in the description box. I have the link to the new website actually down there. They have a new website right now where the Black Friday sale is already happening. The code is PATTY15 and you can save 15% extra off of your purchase on top of the Black Friday discount. I know a lot of you have already purchased and love Refer brushes as much as I do, so my most recommended brushes for you this time around would be the Eyeshadow collection, because the more I use it, the more I want to continue to play with those brushes. They are extremely versatile. The Eyeshadow brushes are incredible, and they now have, which I just used for my blush, this one right here, the Eyeshadow 05, which has the best slant, the best tapering to it, really help you distribute your brush so seamlessly in a very natural way. And you can use it for all sorts of things, bronzer, blush, even foundation or concealer if you feel like it, because it has the perfect size to be a truly versatile brush. And then I've been talking about the Eyeshadow brush eye set for months now, so you already know I absolutely love that one, as well as their core collection if you don't have it, or like that brush set that they have where they sell you 10 brushes for $100. That set is always incredible. Anyways, check out their new website, and if you're shopping for anything, use code PATTY15 for an additional 15% off on top of their Black Friday sale. Now that I got that off my chest, let's rank these palettes. All of the palettes I have in front of me are palettes that have really good formulas. As far as formulas are concerned, I have no complaints about any of these palettes. I love all of the formulas I'm about to talk to you guys about. So really I'm ranking on my level of preference for the color story, or how much I'm reaching for these palettes, and how excited I get about using these in general. I have all 8 of the Hung Van Gogh palettes in this ranking video. That's taking up pretty much half of my ranking, and the way I ranked them, a lot of those fell back to the bottom of my list, and I want to specify why so that I don't have to repeat it for each palette. Hung Van Gogh's palettes are very monochromatic. He took one color, did different versions of it, some lighter, some darker for some depth in your eye, but there's not a lot of variety within his 8-pan palettes, and I love when palettes have a lot of contrast in them because it really lets me experiment with different eye looks. So the more versatile a palette is, the more excited I get about it, and so the more versatile palettes are going to be towards the front of the list for me. And Hung Van Gogh's monochromatic palettes, because they are more monochromatic, kind of fell behind for me a bit. With that said, the more monochromatic palettes tend to be a lot more user-friendly for those who are a bit more scared of playing with eyeshadow. So take the ranking with a grain of salt, because I am putting these palettes towards the bottom of the list, but they might be the best palettes to get for someone who doesn't know how to combine their eyeshadows and wants to stick to a color story that will always work. Okay. With that said, palette number 20 is this one right here. This is the Hung Van Gogh Brilliant Blue palette. Like I said, every single one of these palettes have an incredible formula, and there is something about this palette I really like, and that is the fact that besides the blue shades, he also included these two teal shades right here in it. I love the teal shades. Now, I love combining teals with neutrals rather than blues, so whenever I did use those teal shades, I combined them with a different palette. palette, and personally not a huge fan of blue eyeshadow myself, and that is the main reason this one is palette number 20. Palette number 19, also from the Hong Van Gogh line, and this is the General's Greens and Yellows eyeshadow palette. I like green eyeshadow a lot, but I prefer forest green shades like this one up here. And again, I love combining colors with neutrals. So this right here, for me personally, an excess of green. I also love the yellower colors in this palette. These right here are my 3 favorite shades, but these very bright greens honestly scare me. And so for that reason, this one's a little bit more towards the bottom as well. I do prefer green over blue, so that's why blue is below this one. Next palette is his Rebellious Red and Pink eyeshadow palette. I like the pink aspects of this palette, but personally not a fan of red eyeshadow myself, so I go for colors like the ones I'm swatching here. These right here, super soft rose tones. Really love. Not a huge fan of the bright red colors. The formulas of the Hong Van Gogh line are really nice and very easy to use, so props to him for that. But as I said, he just really stuck to the monochromatic looks for all of his palettes, and I prefer a bit more variety in mine, so for that reason this right here is number 18. At number 17, I have this one here, the Compose Cool eyeshadow palette. If you are goth, you need this palette, okay? This palette is a goth makeup lover's dream right here. You have all of the beautiful grays and silvers and the most fantastic, most pigmented black shade. I barely put my finger in there. Like, you get so much pigmentation on that creamy matte color. It is incredible. This palette would be a fun one to have for the holiday season if you're into very smoky looks as well. And overall, I've had fun playing with this one, but I've kept it very toned down. Definitely not gone as dark as this palette could allow me to go. Anyways, this right here, number 17. At number 16, I have a purple palette, and that is the Passionate Purple palette from Hong Van Gogh. I love a lot of the shades in here, and I love purple eyeshadows in general. With that said though, I remember this one being the first palette I tried and swatched from his line, and I remember that even though the quality of a lot of these eyeshadows is incredible, this one to me was a little bit different. The purples weren't as pigmented as I wanted them to be, and so for that reason, this right here is palette number 16. I will say I love cool tone purples like these right here. These could even go so well with my eyeshadow look right now. I do wish the shimmers in this one were a little bit shinier, and that to me would have made a huge difference. I am a purple shadow lover. However, I do always like to combine my purples with neutrals as well. This one is pretty, but color story wise, it was just missing something for me. At number 15, I have a warm palette from Hong Van Gogh, and that is the Outstanding Orange palette. I love that he included a more shiny shimmer shade in this one. That's the kind of shimmer I wish the purple palette had. This orangey shade down here is also pretty fun, and I love that even though this is pretty warm, it looks a bit more natural to me. It's a palette that I see myself using a bit more often, even within its pretty warm color story. It's a bit more wearable in my opinion, and so for that reason this one is number 15. I love that shimmer so much. At number 14, we do get a little break from the Hong Van Gogh palette ranking, and I am going to talk about the Bonfire palette from Glamminatrix Cosmetics. Now this one is a color story that does have a lot of versatility in it. I love that even though they included really bright yellows, bright red colors in here, they also made it a point to include a couple of neutral shades. That is what I am about when it comes to like eyeshadow and combining eyeshadows. I always want something to ground me, if you will. I love to experiment with a dash of color here and there. I love my sparkly shadows, but I always feel like there needs to be something a bit more neutral to ground the eyeshadow look, to make it a bit more wearable, a bit more natural, and this palette absolutely has it. I love the green colors they chose for this one. These are fantastic, and this color here on the camera looks pretty yellowish, but it's a very bright orange shade, which honestly, that one in particular scares me. Now, besides this palette being very versatile, the other thing I really love about it is the shimmer shades. Glamminatrix Cosmetics always has really incredible shimmers, and this palette is no exception. Check out these incredible multi-chrome shades right here. They are outstanding. This one right here on my middle finger is comparable. I actually did a comparison side by side with this shade and the most special shade from Mothership number 10, and they are identical to one another. That also happens to be be my favorite shade from Mothership number 10 from Pat McGrath. So to have a shade like that in this palette is fantastic. I will say though, the only reason this one fell down a bit for me, even though I love the color story and the outstanding shimmer shades in it, is that I know I'm not going to be using the very bright reds in this one as much. I'm only going to mainly reach for the shimmers and the more neutral shades, and so for that reason this one is my number 14. I love those shimmers. Should I add a bit more right there? I just realized I was missing a palette from my ranking. So the palette that was number 20th was actually number 21, and the one I just said was number 14 is actually number 15, because number 14 is the palette that I was missing from my ranking, and that is this one right here. This is the Natasha Denona Eye Sculpt Texture and Tone eyeshadow palette. This is the lighter one of the two. The rich one is a bit further ahead, and this is a very wearable palette, which is why it's a bit ahead of the other ones I just mentioned, because even though this is a pretty monotone color story, it's kind of a boring color story if you will. Natasha Denona has much better palettes in her line in my opinion, but this is still a very wearable palette, a very user-friendly palette, a palette that has incredible formulas and that is pretty versatile in the sense that you can have a very toned down natural makeup look with it, or you can have a very rich smoky look with it as well, and the formulas in this palette are incredible. With that said, for me personally, it's missing some shimmers, which is why it ranks lowish for a Natasha Denona palette, because you guys know I'm obsessed with Natasha's brand, but this one just didn't do it for me. So this right here is palette number 14. Palette number 13 is the new natural palette from the Hong Vango line. Now this one is a very wearable palette that could be considered a bit more versatile. It's pretty neutral, very glamorous. I like it because it's very user-friendly and you can create really nice daytime looks with this one, or you can smoke it out, make it a bit more nighttime, a bit more interesting. It has very beautiful creamy mattes that blend like a dream and are very user-friendly, and then it has really fun shimmers as well, like this one down here, that are day-to-day appropriate, but you can also use them for a nighttime event or something a bit more fun. For example, this one here is a bit more bright, a bit more shiny. And so this one, in my opinion, because it's a much more natural looking palette, is something that I'll reach for a lot more and that I see a lot of people being able to use and create fun looks with on a daily basis. Now, my favorite of all of the Hong Vango makeup palettes is actually palette number 12, and that is this one here, the Wonderfully Warm palette from Hong Vango. Similarly to the one I just talked about, this is one that could be used on a daily basis, or it could be smoked up and turned up for a nighttime event. I have a couple of shades I really love from this palette that I think make it stand out for me from his collection. This one here being one of them. I love a neutral dark brown palette that has just a tad bit of warmth in it, and this one doesn't only have an incredible formula that performs and blends like an absolute dream, it is just a perfect brown shade to smoke up an eyeshadow look. And then I also really love a shimmer gold shade like this one here. It reminds me of that very popular gold shimmer from Urban Decay years ago. Was it Baked maybe? It's in the Naked palette, but that very beautiful gold shade with lots of sparkle I find is a staple on everyone's collection, and this one has a really nice gold base and also gold sparkles on it. Besides that, you have really nice transition shades in this one and a very decent mid-tone brown to start escalating things with. This mid-tone brown has a cream formula that I find incredible, and so those are my three favorite standout shades in this stunning palette here, and my favorite of Hong Vango's palettes for sure. At number 11, I have the other Natasha Denona Sculpt Texture and Tone eyeshadow palette. This is the dramatic version of it, and while this one is, I think, better suited for darker complexions in the sense that I don't really have many transition shades in this one. This is pretty dark, pretty fast. I do love that this one at least have some shimmers in it. I particularly love the shade C2 right here. It's like a little galaxy in a purple shade. It has lots of multicolored sparkles in it, and I love shades like N3, C1, Y3. These right here are some staple beautiful matte shades, and I mean, you can see how good the formulation of those shades is. So smooth, so pigmented, so easy to work with and blend. An absolute dream of a formula. Is the color story perfection? No, but I like this one much better than the lighter palette because we get some fun shimmers in here, and I like when palettes are versatile. This one gives me a lot more versatility than the previous one. And that brings us to my top 10 eyeshadow palettes I have tried lately. And at number 10, I have this one here from Singe Beauty. This is the Singe Beauty Paisley Hoot eyeshadow palette. Take a look right here at this incredible color story. Now, there's something in this palette I really love, and it is the perfect shimmer formula. This shimmer formula is like attention grabbing, and it is very sparkly, but it is very sparkly in a very ethereal way, in a very glamorous way. It's not a chunky shimmer shade. Let me show you the swatches right there on the tip of my fingers. See how it's a super finely milled sparkle? It is very shiny, but it's very classy all at the same time. There's no chunkiness to it. It's like a happy medium of shimmer shades, because I don't know if I could call it an everyday shimmer, but it's definitely a shimmer that is not too loud. It's ethereal and elegant, and I absolutely love that about it. Don't get me wrong, I love my chunky sparkles as well, but there's something to be said for a fantastic ethereal shimmer shade, and all of the shimmer shades in this palette have that incredible ethereal capacity to them. Besides that, of course, this palette also has some incredible matte colors as well. Let me swatch some fun ones for you. Take a look right there at how those colors would beautifully combine. The formulas in the palette are gorgeous. The color story is stunning, and overall I really love this palette. The only thing it could possibly be missing for me is maybe a couple more rich shades. Let's move on to palette number 9, and palette number 9 is from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. It is this one right here, the Grounded palette, and honestly just check out how fun this color story is right here. A couple of these shimmers scare me, but I find them so fun at the same time. Take a look right there at those two stunning shades. I will suggest, if you go for shades like this one on your eyelids, that you use some sort of glitter glue in order for the shade to stay in place, because when I film makeup videos I don't use any eye base, and the one time I played with this palette on camera I created a stunning look with those shades, but in a few hours it was creasing quite a bit. I've played with it since with a glitter glue and it doesn't move. So if you use those shades, definitely use a glitter glue. This palette is very fun, definitely not for the faint of heart, but what I like about it, and the reason it made it all the way up here in my ranking, is the fact that it also has some really nice neutral shades that grounded, that make it more wearable and more versatile and more neutral, even with the very fun sparkles. I also love this really chunky gold shimmer right there. It is perfection. So it's a really fun combination of out there and pretty neutral, and I love it. Definitely a fun one to have in my opinion. At number 8, I have another Natasha Denona palette, and this one is tiny but mighty. I'm talking about the Natasha Denona Mini Gloom palette. I found this one to be perfection for the fall time, and I find it that even though it only has 5 shades, it's a pretty versatile palette. You have a mid-tone olive shade that is perfection for your crease, and you can choose whether or not to smoke it up with the darker brown in here. You have this teal shade right here that could make this into a nighttime look, or you can keep it a bit more subtle, a bit more everyday by using the other 2 shimmers in this palette. And so even though it has only 5 shades, I find it to be a palette that is perfection for the fall season. It of course has incredible formulas, and I find it to be a pretty versatile little thing. And so for all of those reasons, even though this one is tiny, this is palette number 8 in my ranking. At number 7, I have a palette I absolutely love from Nomad Cosmetics, and it is this beauty right here. This is the Nomad Pacific Northwest eyeshadow palette. It has the most stunning nature inspired shades. I love the formulation of this palette. Overall is incredible. I love the shimmers they included in here. This palette is another one that has a lot of versatility within its color story, because yes, you do have some very beautiful neutral brown shades, but you also have your pops of greens, you have your pops of blue, your pops of burgundy in there. There's a lot you can do with this palette. The matte formulas are very easy to build, very easy to blend and to work with in general. And then you also have a lot of really fun shimmer shades in this one. Some of them are duochromes. We have this multi-chrome in there as well. Very fun shades to play with. They combine perfectly with all of the matte shades I just showed you. This palette is absolute perfection, especially for the fall season, but it could be a year-round palette. I don't know if this is a limited edition palette for them or whether this is a palette that they'll keep in their line, but if you are a fan of Nomad Cosmetics eyeshadows and their color stories, you will not be disappointed with this one. It is one of the best ones I've tried from them for sure. Palette number 6 is the Crown Legacy palette from Glamminatrix Cosmetics. This is a collaboration with Monolith, Crown, Legacy, and take a look at this fantastic color story. This is another one of those that I find to have a perfect combination of like fun, colorful shades in there with some neutrals that will ground it and make it truly versatile for me. Shades like Throne and Rain are the most perfect jewel tone matte colors, but you also have shades like Air or Jewel that will ground this palette and make it a bit more wearable and more natural looking. The formulation of those mattes is incredible, and the shimmers in this one is definitely what sets it apart for me because I love some fun shimmers, and this palette has some incredible standout shimmers in my opinion. I'm gonna swatch some for you. Take a look at all of that frosty shimmering goodness and how well it would combine with these matte colors here. Honestly, fantastic. Glamminatrix has impeccable, beautiful formulas. Every single one of these shades is going to swatch like an absolute dream. The mattes and the shimmers, of course. And these colors are going to work so well together. Glamminatrix Cosmetics is one of those indie brands that always surprises me with incredible eyeshadow formulas and unique color stories that make eyeshadow fun. And this palette is no exception. I really love it. By the way, I have discount codes for some of these brands I've already talked about. My Glamminatrix Cosmetics discount code and Nomad Cosmetics discount code is code PATTY10 and it saves you 10% off of your purchase. I have a Natasha Denona discount code. That code is PATTY15 and it used to save you 15, but it only saves you 10% right now. Hopefully it'll go back up at some point. And in a minute I'll be mentioning Adept Cosmetics, and my Adept Cosmetics discount code is also PATTY10. So next, let's talk about my top 5 most favorite palettes I've tried in the past few months, and at number 5 I have an Adept Cosmetics palette, and that is this one here. This is the EBE's eyeshadow palette, Extraterrestrial Beings or something. This is what the color story looks like right here. Really fun. I always love me a good burgundy shade. This palette has it. I love me a good olivey green. This palette has it. It has the neutrals and it has the beautiful shimmer shades. It's a very versatile palette with lots of beautifully shimmering multi-chrome shades. What is not to love? So for all of those reasons, this one is palette number 5 for me. Let me show you some fun mattes that this palette has in it. Take a look right there at how incredible those matte shades are and how beautifully they combine with the shimmers I'm about to show you. Honestly, I just selected 5 shimmers at random. Some of these, or all of them, look like multi-chrome shimmers. This one on my pinky finger has multicolored sparkles in it as well. Just fantastic, romantic, rosy, purpley shimmer shades. What is not to love? I love this palette's color story and I love the formula. I've been telling you this in the past 2 rankings video I've done this year, and it is the fact that Adept Cosmetics fixed their matte formulas, and that is all they needed to be one of my absolute most favorite brands, because they have had my most favorite shimmers for years now, but their matte shades were just not performing to my standard, and they fixed the matte shades, and now every palette they release is an absolute banger and a palette that I have been really loving. My most favorite palettes this year have been Adept Cosmetics palettes, this right here being no exception. Absolutely love the EBE palette, and you'll see I have another Adept Cosmetics palette even farther ahead in this video. So this right here was palette number 5. At number 4 I have the biggest palette and the most expensive palette I'll talk about in today's video, and that is this massive beautiful thing right here, Lightworks Volume 8 palette. Danessa Myricks releases one big shimmering beautiful palette every year, and this year she graced us with this beauty right here, which additionally isn't only shimmer shades. We're used to just getting shimmers from Danessa Myricks this time around. She also gave us some neutral shades, and that in my opinion was the best decision ever, because because I personally don't like to be in between a bunch of palettes in order to create an eyeshadow look, and I also like to combine my mattes with my shimmers. I don't like shimmer only looks, so having at least 2 mattes in each one of these 6-pan palettes, or in this case just one, is a fantastic way to go about it. Of course, this palette gets extra points because it has the most ingenious packaging in makeup history. You can get rid of that and have 3 6-pan palettes that are very travel friendly and easy to work with, and each one has a very unique color story. We have the neutral, we have this romantic pink one, and now we have this cool tone one right here. The matte shadows have incredible quality, and the shimmers are to die for. Very, very pigmented, fun, multi-chrome type shimmer shades. Let me swatch a few to show you. I swatched 2 shades in one finger crap. Take a look at the shimmer shades in this one. Some of them are a bit chunkier, some of them are a bit more finely milled. All of them have incredible qualities, and the matte shades she put in this palette are really nice, fun, good quality, easy to work with mattes as well. So what is not to love? Now, I will say, even though this palette is one of the top palettes I have tried in this ranking at number 4, you have to be a lover of chunky shimmers and a lover of fun, colorful looks to love this one to its fullest, because it is a pretty intense palette, if you will. You are going to get really intense looks with this one. You'll find the most natural looks in this 6-pan palette up here, and even up here you'll see that the shimmers are chunkier and the looks are still pretty intense. So just beware that even though it doesn't look as colorful as some of the others I've shown you, it's still a pretty intense palette. With that said, I love it, and this right here is palette number 4. Palette number 3 is the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. I personally really love this one. It has a lot of neutral, natural looking shades that are perfect for every day, and even though I play with color and I play with lots of shimmers, I love me a natural ethereal look, and that is exactly what this palette gives me. It has some perfect matte shades that are going to be fantastic for every day, like these right here. And then those mattes will perfectly combine with the fun ethereal shimmers that this palette has in it. These right here. And these are going to be more ethereal, natural looking shades, not chunky, not very glittery. They are more toned down. They still have a bit of very finely milled sparkle to them. And so it makes this palette a pretty versatile one within the more neutral color story. As far as whether the first ethereal palette has better quality than this one, I would think it does, but it's not all of the shades. There's one shade in the ethereal palette that is shinier and more reflective than the green in here, but the rest of the shades in the ethereal palette have the same formula. There's just one that's a bit creamier in my opinion. So I love the performance of this one. I have found myself reaching for them multiple times, and I know that long term this is a palette that I'll keep going back to. So I love it, and this right here is my 3rd most favorite palette I've tried recently. Number 2 came at a shock even for me, but as I said, I ranked these on my level of excitement for them. I love the color story and I love the versatility of it. I'm of course talking about the Pat McGrath Mega Eyeshadow Palette in Gilded Nirvana. And as I said when I first reviewed this palette, calling this mega is a bit of an overstatement because it is a pretty small palette, especially if you compare it with the holiday palettes Pat McGrath used to give us. Yet, it is my 2nd most favorite palette I've tried recently because I love the color story and I love the formula of this one. It only has one true matte shade, and it is this color right here, which plays as a perfect transition color. And this semi-matte shade right here blends beautifully into that one. I'm calling this one a semi-matte because it has some gold sparkles in it, but it is overall a pretty matte shade as well. Now, when I used it, not only did I put these two together, I also went in with this very dark teal and I paired the dark teal with the matte shade, and that made a very fun look as well. If you want to know more about this palette, I highly recommend you check out the video where I reviewed it because I had a lot of fun playing with it, and I think both of the looks I came out with were fantastic. Now, why do I love this palette so much? Because it's just right up my alley. It has a lot of versatility to it. Okay, so imagine just using these two shades as your transition shade and then smoking balancing things out with this one here. And then you have all of these different shimmer shades that you can put on your eyelid, and every single one that you combine with these two colors will give you a whole different look that will go with a different vibe, with a different outfit, whatever it is you are into. This palette has blues, it has pinks, it has purples, it has greens, it has a ton of really fun shimmer shades that when put on the eyelid and paired with these mattes are going to give you a completely different vibe. And it is a fun way to play with colorful eyeshadows that in my opinion is not that intimidating, because you always have the same base to go off of, which is those two matte shades I showed you, this one and the slightly darker burgundy one. And then you know that every single one of the rest of the colorful shimmers in here will pretty much pair well with those two and will give you a different look. So it's not hard to create colorful looks with this one that are going to be wearable at the same time and perfect for the holiday season, because it has all of the shimmer and the fun sparkle that you'll need. So for all of those reasons, even though we got a much smaller palette this year, this right here is my second most favorite palette I've tried lately. And I believe Pat McGrath might be on sale right now, or if not, she'll be on sale soon. So definitely get this one with a discount rather than paying full price like I did. But it is a really stunning palette to add to your collection, and one that I highly recommend. And that brings us to my number one most favorite palette I've tried recently, which is also from Adept Cosmetics. And this is the Adept Cosmetics RH Nude Eyeshadow Palette. Since I reviewed it, I've learned to say the name right. It's supposed to be the RH Nude Eyeshadow Palette. Anyways, take a look right here at the absolutely stunning color story. And the reason this palette is my number one favorite out of all of the ones I have tried recently is the fact that it is a grungy but natural color story. It is a grungy palette that can be glamorous at the same time. And usually I have a love-hate relationship with grungy palettes, because usually I like grungy palettes like when I see them on the pans in the palette, but once I play with the grungy palettes on my eyes, I end up looking muddy, okay? Usually that is what happens. The looks don't come out as natural or as glamorous as I want them to look, and that did not happen with this particular grungy palette right here. This is grungy but beautiful, grungy but glamorous, grungy but actual perfection in a palette. Yes, you have these very cool tone grayish looking matte shadows like these right here that I just swatched for you. The other matte, by the way, is this fun green shade right here. But because they are softer cool tone, softer grungy shades, they blend out beautifully and they don't become muddy looking around my eyes. And then they of course combine super beautifully with the incredible shimmers that are in this palette, some of which I'm about to show you. The shimmers are definitely what make this palette as great as it is. Take a look right there. I swatched 8 of them for you. They are beautiful, multi-chrome shimmery shadows. Some of them are a bit more silvery, some are more gold. We have this one on my pinky finger with beautiful multicolor sparkles. We have some green leaning ones as well. If you have not, definitely check out the video where I played with this palette and created a couple of looks with it, because I was so in love with not just the looks that I came up with, but how easy they were to create and how grungy but glamorous they were at the same time. It made me love this palette so much, and for all of those reasons, and the fact that I'm just very excited for the color story of this palette and the formulation of all of these shades right here. This right here is my most favorite palette I have tried recently. It is versatile, it is glamorous, it is sparkly, it is cool tone, but it also could be a bit more natural looking. I love everything about this color story and this palette. It is like slightly colorful, it has a hint of color to it, but it's just overall a very beautiful neutral palette that could be so versatile and worn for so many different things. I love it, absolutely love it, love the color story, and every time I do my makeup I want to reach for this one, so what better sign of a palette that you absolutely love. So this right here is my #1 most favorite palette I tried out of the 21 palettes I ranked today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Check out the discount codes in the description box if you are shopping for any of these. I believe this one might be sold out at the moment, but hopefully it'll come back in stock. Maybe I should notify you guys when it does. Let me know if you're interested. That is all for me today. If you guys liked today's video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up before you leave. Remember, if you're interested, to check out the Refer brush sale. Whenever you've seen me try and review any of these palettes right here, I have created the looks using Refer brushes because honestly they're the ones I reach for the most in my collection. I absolutely love them, and so I highly recommend that you check out their Black Friday sale. That is it for me today. If you guys liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.